Busted.
The reviews are in.
Awesome.
You wanted more Joe Concha. And we heard you. More Joe. More show.
We're talking to you. Under promise and over deliver.
Joe Concha. Weeknights at 9. Plus Sunday mornings at 11 on 77 WABC.
Jimmy Kimmel no longer tries to be funny. Not that he ever really was.
Joe Concha. Weeknights at 9. Plus Sunday mornings at 11.
Democrats defending cocaine coming into the country.
Sunday morning. With us today is Steve Cates, otherwise known as Dr. Sky. What the heck is going on up there in the skies? Well, once in a while, Steve Cates gives us a few secrets, and there's so many secrets out there that we don't know the answers to. Steve, tell us what the heck is going on.
Well, good morning, John. As we move almost to the end of January, how fast the Earth goes around the sun, January 25th. John, let's go back in commemoration of Martin Luther King Jr. Day. How about the history of African-American astronauts? Many people may not realize this. The first African-American astronaut was Guion Bluford. He was followed by Ron McNair, who sadly perished on the Challenger explosion. Sadly to say, 40 years ago, John, January the 28th, 1986. And let's talk about female African-American astronauts. Mae Jemison was the first female American astronaut. And we also talk about the first African-American director of NASA, Charles Bolden. And we have an interesting individual named Victor Glover, who will be part of that amazing mission, John. Stay tuned, everybody, in February. NASA returns with an orbit around the moon with this Artemis rocket. Great stuff as we salute our African-American astronauts and space heroes. Very interesting stuff.
Understood. And I guess it was Martin Luther King Day today, or a couple of days ago, last week. And yes. And I guess they made it into space.
Well, John, they really set some standards for us, all the astronauts from the NASA Corps and even the Soviet cosmonauts. Very risky things happen in space, but we should never, lose sight of our goals as we eventually will go on, as you and I talk all the time, to the moon, a return, and then on to the planet Mars that you and I always talk about. But, John, this may already be happening right now. The deep of the winter here, the East Coast and a good portion of the eastern part of the United States will again experience an incredibly deep, cold, weather phenomenon, all due to something called the polar vortex. And what's that? John, this is a counterclockwise, circulation of air naturally that pushes down from the pole. And what's going to happen here, obviously the intensity that it's going to come down over this weekend and maybe all the way into February is just incredible. Nobody really understands the dynamics. Because remember, all weather comes from the sun, John, which then transitions to another great subject. This amazing solar flare that we just happened this past week, producing auroras and all kind of radio communications. The sun, of course, as many people know, and I keep repeating it because it's true. All weather comes from the sun, so you ain't seen the end of solar cycle 25, John. Very powerful stuff going on.
And there was reports last week that we had some very powerful storms on the sun, and it came our way.
Yes, John, and more to come. The solar cycle 25, this is one of the most powerful solar cycles. The sun usually waxes and wanes in an 11-year cycle, but it's probably much, much deeper than that. But, John, you asked about, or we reported again, or we always do, these mysteries of the week. So how about this? Let's go back 100 years ago to 1926. And here's some interesting science and technology mysteries that still astound me. In 1926, John, the world population was about 2 billion people. Now we're going about 8 billion. Calvin Coolidge was the president, John, and the average wage was about 93 cents an hour. But here's some of the amazing things that happen in technology and science, particularly space. On January 26, 1926, the first working television demo, something called a televisor, took place. That's incredible. And on March 8th of 1926, the first transatlantic phone call. AT&T conducted that between New York City, of course, and London. And then let's get back to the space world. March the 16th, 1926, John, the first liquid-fueled rocket flight by a rocket genius called Robert Goddard. And, John, he launched it up in Massachusetts, and guess what? The rocket only got 41 feet off the ground. But look at where we are today with rocket-powered and hypersonic propulsion. That's amazing.
Well, who was I talking to last week when we were talking about the hypersonic, what was it, the SR-72?
SR-71 and
Mach 9?
SR-72. Yes, John, and these hypersonic aircraft using scramjets, which without a lot of time here on the program this morning, these are some of the fastest air-breathing engines. So what it does, it sucks in air into its combustion at supersonic speeds. This is what we're calling the scramjets. And that's just so amazing because if you go back just to Wilbur and Orville Wright's flight, it's just amazing how fast and how far we've gone with all this technology. Only the best, is yet to come, John, in hypersonic flight. And then as you and I always talk about, how about propulsion that goes warp speed in the future from Star Trek and all these other sci-fi great programs? I can't wait.
Well, I can't wait either because I used to fly the Concorde when half the British Airways terminal in New York was ours, and I used to fly even in the jump seat, and that was some remarkable airplane almost 50 years ago at Mach point 2.04. John,
that's amazing. I envy you in a good way, because I can only imagine what that flight must have been like. Tiny windows flying what, John? 60, 70,000, who knows how high? Way higher than most aircraft. And boy, what was the trip across the ocean? Just a couple of hours, I guess? Tell me.
Well, from New York to London, it was 3 hours and 11 minutes.
That's incredible. Think of how slow or how far you could go.
And the fastest we ever got there was 3 hours and 9 minutes.
That's amazing, John. That's totally incredible. And we remind everybody, listen, of course, to the Dr. Sky Experience every Saturday midnight to 2 a.m. Sunday, Eastern Standard Time, and both Friday and Saturday. And appreciate that, John, as we open people's minds on subjects that, of course, we hear from the emails we get. They enjoy wonders of the universe, from astronomy, space, aviation, weather, and stories of what? American exceptionalism, making a complete roundabout.
Thank you so much, and we'll talk to you again real soon.
Thank you, John. Have a good Sunday.
Every week, the Payne family cuts straight to the real financial story.
The one question, Bob, everyone's asking is, are we in an artificial intelligence bubble? You've been through boom and bust. What do you think?
No hype, no myths. Just what actually matters to your money.
Does feel very similar to what we experienced in the 90s. Where are we, though? Are we in 1995, 1997, 1999?
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.